Hi, I'm Reverend Andrew Bozeman, and this is On the Wings of Your Mind. Sunday was Easter, and we find ourselves now in the midst of, according to the Catholic Church, we're in the midst of a Easter season. An Easter season lasts, according to the Church, for 8 days. So it began on Sunday, which was Easter Sunday, and it will continue through to next Sunday. And so what we're celebrating here in Easter is the resurrection of Jesus the Christ. After he was crucified and being buried for 3 days, he rose. He rose from the dead and went on to heaven after sharing a message and conversations with with his disciples, as well as Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene was very important in Jesus' life. So according to the story, Jesus was the Son of God who came down to earth in human form for the purpose of dying to obliterate or eliminate our sins. Now this idea of him coming to clean up our sins is a sticking point with a lot of people who refuse to accept the teachings of Jesus, and that is a primary objection they have, the idea of their sins being cleansed by Jesus some 2,200 years ago. I must admit that I had trouble with that concept as well. I had trouble accepting that my sins were cleansed by Jesus some 2,200 years ago, because I was still committing new sins on a regular basis. And so it didn't make sense to me. But in recent years, I've had the privilege of discovering something that was left out of the Bible. It's the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Now, Mary Magdalene, according to many accounts, was a companion of Jesus. She was one of the disciples. Of course, we don't hear much about the women in Jesus' life because of the patriarchy and the fact that men have dominance and superiority, and women were quote-unquote inferior and therefore not paid attention to. But Mary was there, Mary Magdalene, and she was a close companion of Jesus. Some of the disciples claim that Jesus loved her more than they loved them. So she spent a lot of time alone with him. And in her time alone with him, she had some very deep and intriguing conversations with him about his teachings. And her understanding of his teachings, or her interpretation of his teachings, was in conflict with the understanding and interpretation of the disciples, the male disciples. A lot of times they didn't get it. There are several instances in the Bible where they mention, we don't understand, or what are you saying that's different, whatever. So Mary Magdalene had a deeper understanding of what Jesus was telling them. And one of those things that I find most intriguing is, according to Mary Magdalene, was Jesus' definition of sin. He came to clean up the sin. And so I guess it's important to understand what his definition of sin, what did he see as sin? And according to her gospel, she says that in her conversation with Jesus, he defined sin, or explained that sin was a result of us committing a sort of metaphysical adultery. Metaphysical adultery. The adultery exists, according to Mary Magdalene. I mean, she didn't use the word adultery, but that's when the material flesh which is also known as our physical bodies, is given prominence over our spiritual bodies, our spiritual selves, our true selves, then we have committed spiritual adultery. We have committed a sin, because the true spiritual self is eternal and the physical self is temporary. So giving the temporary self prominence over the eternal self, the one that's always there, is wrong. That's a sin. And that sin comes out of ignorance as to what the truth is. And so Jesus wanted to bring to us the truth of our being. In truth, we are not a body. We only have a body. That body is a vehicle for our spiritual selves, which is, our spiritual selves is much, much greater than the body. So the body is secondary, not primary. So honoring the temporary physical self over the spiritual self, which is our true self, is an infidelity, a sin. And this is literally a denial of the truth. And that's the sin that Jesus came to resolve, was to eliminate that physical dominance and teach us that spirit was the true self. The kingdom of God is within you. Of course, somewhere along the line, that got sidetracked. It got unmentioned. It got distorted, corrupted. But it was a sin because that sin, that declaring the body is superior to the spirit, is the origin of sickness and death. Remember, Jesus taught that death, he conquered death because he resurrected. He conquered death. But he conquered death because he knew the truth, which is that spirit is superior to the physical body. So the spirit does not die. Spirit does not die. So that confusion of honoring the spiritual self over honoring the physical self over the spiritual self leads us into darkness, sickness, and eventually death. And what happens after we die? We wake up as spirit and realize that all that we went through was merely temporary. All that we went through was in the form of lessons for us to learn, but it is not the truth of who we are. We come out of that and we are huge, wonderful, spiritual beings. So, basically, and you've heard me say this over and over again, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And if you can somehow turn your mind around, reverse your thinking, and embrace that truth, then you will enjoy eternal spiritual life, just as Jesus did. So by accepting the truth of your existence as a spiritual being, then you become the resurrected Christ. You are the resurrection. You are the resurrection. You become the second coming of Christ. The prophecy says that Jesus will descend again on the earth plane and declare judgment, and he will call those to himself, both the living and the dead, who are worthy of his grace. So it implies a whole lot of people are going to be left behind because they didn't worship Jesus. But the truth of the matter is that the second coming has already happened. You are the second coming. You are the second coming. Yes, you are the second coming. Remember, Jesus was an exemplar. He didn't come seeking to be worshipped. He came seeking to be imitated. He came to show us the pathway to our spiritual enlightenment. He performed acts of healing, and he showed us other ways of expressing our spiritual power. But most importantly, he taught us to forgive. So the question is, will the man who said, Father, forgive them so they know not what they do, will he turn around and seek vengeance and punish those who did not, quote unquote, toe the line? Or would he continue his mission of mercy to show us the way out, to show us the way home? I think he would continue his mission of mercy to show us the way home. And the way home is through Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness. We'll talk about that after these messages. Whether you're building wealth or anticipating a major financial transaction, you can benefit greatly by consulting with a personal, professional, licensed financial advisor. A personal, professional, licensed financial advisor who focuses on you, who understands your unique concerns, who relates to your special goals, who cares about your success. Afroeconomics is a strategic financial program designed for the advancement of Black wealth in America and abroad. It was created by J.B. Bryan, CEO of J.B. Bryan Financial Group, an independent registered investment advisory firm licensed in Virginia, Washington, D.C., New York, and Maryland. Being Black does not condemn you to a life of financial uncertainty. Afroeconomics can show you the way out and up. If this message has meaning and value for you, please click on the thumbs up button below. If you haven't already done so, please choose to subscribe. You can do so by clicking on the logo at the lower right-hand corner of this video. Remember, I would love to hear your thoughts, comments, and questions. Please use the chat box on the right side of the screen, or you can use the comment section below this video. The objective of this ministry is to empower you and your life. If our teaching is of value to you, then we invite your financial support. You can support this ministry by using the Cash App at $Andre Amron, or by going to our website at bozemandevelopment.com and clicking on the Please Donate link. Thank you for your support. So, the question on the floor is, in the second coming of Jesus, would he come to punish us, or would he come to show us the way home, this way to spiritual enlightenment? Well, we know that Jesus represented love, and that when he took on the mantle of consciousness, Christ's consciousness, when he became the Christ, because he didn't come here as the Christ, you know. He wasn't born as the Christ. He achieved that level of consciousness through his work. And he stood unflinchingly for love. Christ's consciousness is divine love. Christ's consciousness is the spiritual elevation that Jesus achieved during his mortal life. I mean, he wasn't born with it, he achieved it. He achieved it by traveling the world and studying the spiritual practices in Egypt and India and Tibet. And then when he returned home, he was baptized by John the Baptist. So there was a lot of education and effort and discipline that went into him becoming the Christ. So when he got baptized, remember, that is when he was elevated to the Christ consciousness, as we see in the book of Matthew, chapter 3, verse 16. And it says there, when he had been baptized, Jesus came up immediately from the water, and behold, the heavens were opened to him. And he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting upon him. And suddenly a voice came from heaven saying, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." So it didn't happen until then that he became the Christ. And that is after a lot of work, and that is after tons of study and meditation and prayer. It didn't just happen. He had to work at it. Even though he knew the truth, he had to work at it. And there was another example of his elevation to Christ consciousness in the book of Luke, chapter 9, verse 33, when it says, "Then it happened, as they were parting from him, that Peter said to Jesus, 'Master, it is good for us to be here, and let us make 3 tabernacles, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah,' not knowing what he said. While he was saying this, a cloud came and overshadowed them, and they were fearful as they entered the cloud. And a voice came out of the cloud saying, 'This is my beloved Son, hear him.' And when the voice had ceased, Jesus was found alone. But they kept quiet, and no one in those days or any of those things they had seen." This was a situation in which Jesus the disciples witnessed Jesus talking to Moses and Elijah, both of whom had been long dead for hundreds of years. But they came and had conversation with them, and the disciples saw them, so they were awed by what had happened, what they had witnessed, and they wanted to acknowledge it by building tabernacles in honor of all 3 of those people, Elijah, Moses, and Jesus. But then Elijah and Moses disappeared. But again, this was a demonstration of Jesus' rise to Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness. Now, that's a word that's been bandied about by a number of people. It's one that I've used a few times. So what is Christ consciousness? Well, as is explained in the website Yogapedia, Christ consciousness is an awareness of the higher self as part of a universal system. Another way of saying that is universal consciousness or infinite intelligence. Although it can be interpreted in a number of ways, a common understanding is that Christ consciousness is the state of consciousness in which a person has found self-realization and unity with God or the divine. It may also be used as a synonym for the yogic concept of samadhi and deep spiritual bliss. Okay, so Christ consciousness is a shorthand term to describe the enlightenment attained by spiritual masters after a period of deeply focused meditation, discipline, suffering, which we also saw Jesus go through after 40 days and 40 nights fasting in the wilderness just before he began his ministry, and he had to face his demons, known as the devil, or identified as the devil. They were basically his demons, his doubts, his fears, etc. And throughout all the teachings, we see the work of Jesus as a man who is showing us the path to enlightenment. So, Christ consciousness is a level of consciousness achieved after much work and elevation of your vibration, of your frequency. Remember, we are a vibratory universe. We're in a vibratory universe. And we are vibrating human beings. And as we raise our consciousness, our vibration rises in frequency. Now, when I work with angels, when angels descend to our level to work with us, they have to lower their vibration to come down and be of use to us to operate on this plane, this physical plane. You know, the lower the vibration, the more solid the object or being is. So, you know, the chair I'm sitting in is vibrating, but it's vibrating at a very low rate of speed, a very low frequency, whereas I'm vibrating at a higher frequency. And as I seek to elevate my consciousness and become and rise to the level of Christ consciousness, then my vibrations are going to really be very high. In working with the angels, one of the things that I've discovered for me is that not only are they lowering their vibrations, but I'm elevating mine, and I can actually feel it afterwards, the fatigue factor, because I've been vibrating at a higher level and actually feel the effects of that higher vibration. So in elevating to Christ consciousness, you have to elevate your consciousness, elevate your vibration level in order to become one with the divine. Now, I remember in the play / movie, Jesus Christ Superstar, Judas puts this question to him: why'd you come at this time, in such a backward time, when you could have waited and come in the world of mass communication? Well, it had to happen then because the world was so less populated, and what he had to go through would not have had an impact in today's world, because we're killing people all over the place. Millions of people are being killed in one way or another, and so Jesus' act of sacrifice would have had little or no effect in this day and age. So, but back there, 2,200 years ago, 2,200 years ago, it had an impact because there was very few people around. So the trauma of that entire crucifixion episode, spiritually, vibrationally, the intense, painful torture that he went through, inflicted on his body, the humiliation of dragging the cross through the streets, and finally being nailed to the cross. That entire episode built up this energy, this spiritual energy, that when he died, it exploded out into the electromagnetic field that surrounds the earth. You know, the earth has an aura too. So that electromagnetic field was charged with this boom, this dramatic death that had been built up over that 3-day period in which he was tortured and humiliated and finally painfully killed. Now, it was a disruption to the morphic field of human consciousness, the morphic field of Earth. And that's why it had such an impact. That's why it's being recognized even today, 2,200 years later, as an event. Even though people want to deny it or don't want to honor it, there are a lot of people who don't. The truth of the matter is that the spiritual power released in that act 2,200 years ago was impactful, and it's in a shock wave throughout the entire aura, electromagnetic field of human consciousness of the planet Earth. So, the second coming. You know, the second coming is not a physical return of the man Jesus. I mean, who would recognize him when he came back? And if he was recognized, there would be forces who were out to kill him as soon as possible for him, because they did not want his him bringing about any change in what their power represented. But you know what? The second coming has already happened. It's already happened within the psyche of humanity. It's already happened. The awakening of awareness of the divine, our connection to the divine. It's the awakening of the awareness of our being, the truth of our being. Knowing who and what we really are. I'm not talking about a physical awakening. I'm talking about an awakening and an elevation of consciousness. We are individualized expressions of infinite intelligence. We are individualized expressions of infinite intelligence. Therefore, we are connected to the divine by virtue of our birth. But what has to happen is that despite the fact that we're connected by virtue of our birth, because we have free will, we have to decide to open ourselves up to what is already there, the truth of what is already there, which is that we are divine. We are gods. We are connected to God. We are spiritual beings. We are the sons of God. And therefore we have access to Christ consciousness because of who we are. We've reached a point on this planet where there is a sufficient number of people who are being made aware of the truth of their being. There is a sufficient number of people who are learning who and what they really are. There's a sufficient number of people who are connecting with their true spiritual selves. And it is that opening of our minds that is the second coming. That opening of our awareness that we are the resurrection. By opening our minds and our hearts and our spirits to the truth, by accepting our roles as spiritual warriors, we're then taking the first steps to accepting the mantle and the responsibility of connecting to Christ consciousness. We, by opening our minds and our hearts and our spirits, are stepping forward to accept the powerful energies that are waiting to be expressed through us. We are so powerful. You have no idea how powerful you really are. But if you open yourself and understand that it is not you that is, as Jesus said, it is not me that is doing the work, it is the God within, it is the Father within that is doing the work. Expressing infinite intelligence, the power of infinite intelligence through your very being is what empowers you. This is a vibratory universe. We exist in an infinite sea of consciousness. That consciousness not only surrounds us, it's not only over, under, and around us, it is also through us. Remember in the book of Luke, chapter 17, verses 20 to 21. Some of the Pharisees asked Jesus, "When will the kingdom of God come?" And Jesus answered that God's kingdom is coming, but not in the way that you will be able to see with your eyes. People will not say, "Look, here it is, there it is," because God's kingdom is within you. God's kingdom is within you. But let me expand upon that. Not only is God's kingdom within you, God's kingdom is you. You are an individualized expression of infinite intelligence. I know you might get tired of hearing that, of me repeating that over and over and over and over and over again, but that's the only way it's going to get down deep into your consciousness. It must be repeated until it breaks through into your consciousness, into the depths of your consciousness, to understand that you are an individualized expression of infinite intelligence. You You have the capability of being an electrifying center of love who can spread healing throughout the world because your divine spirit is vibrating at such a high level that whenever anybody's in your presence, they will be healed. They will feel it. They will feel it. It will affect them. That is the truth. You are the second coming. Jesus said it in John, book of John, chapter 14, verse 12. He said, Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do. And greater works than these shall he do. Christ consciousness is available to all of us. It's incumbent upon each and every one of us who came into this life with the mission of elevating the consciousness of this planet. And you would not be listening to me if you did not come into this life with the mission of elevating the consciousness of this planet. You chose to be here because of that mission. You chose to come here to seek awareness and spiritual awakening in order to elevate the consciousness of this planet. No, whether you're a Buddhist or a Christian or whatever, you came here to elevate the consciousness of this planet. You came here seeking to know the truth in your physical being. I mean, you knew it when you started to come in here, but going through the birth canal and then going through childhood in this materialistic world, all that got erased. So we're all suffering from amnesia. But the truth of the matter is we came here to elevate the consciousness of this planet. And we're doing it. We're spiritual warriors, and we're filled with the awesome power of Christ consciousness if we can open our minds and hearts to accept it. It will begin to heal us. It will begin to heal the people around us. You know, I just went through my bout with cancer, but, you know, there were reasons for it. There were metaphysical reasons for it. There were lessons to be learned. There was a need for cleansing and clearing as we move forward into the next level, because we're about to flip this planet. We are about to flip this planet. So we had to go through some stuff to clear out the junk that was laying there waiting to express itself. It had to be cleared out in order for us to get to where we need to be. The power to uplift. You know, we're more than just human beings living on the third rock from the sun. You know, as I've told you over and over again, those words, the words that actually originated with the French philosopher Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who told us at the beginning of the 20th century, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Those were not my words, those were his words, way back up almost 100 years ago. So since we're more than just human beings, we are neither small, alone, or insignificant. We are not. When our light is combined with the light of those, when our light connects with the divine light that is always there waiting to express, and when others around us begin to express their light as well, then look out, world. Change is coming. Change is coming. Matthew book chapter 5 said, Open your hearts to the light. You are the light of the world. The city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do they put up a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand. And it gives light to all those who are in the house. So let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. You know, Marianne Williamson told us that what we fear is our greatness. We don't fear being less. We fear being great. We're afraid of being great. But we are great. We were born to be great. We are great by virtue of our presence here on this planet. So it doesn't matter if you believe in Jesus, or if you believe in an entirely different religion, or if you don't believe Jesus ever existed, or if you just don't know what you believe. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't. Because when you go deep inside yourself, into the quiet of your center, where that chattering monkey mind is not heard, where your doubting Thomas objections no longer hold sway, deep inside yourself, deep in your center, that's where the truth will be revealed to you. That is where you will see the truth. And there, as if in a dream, you will be honored to find your pathway to your purpose. You will be shown how to express your divinity. You will be shown that you are the resurrection. You are the second coming. Let that percolate in your mind a bit. You are the resurrection. You are the second coming. You are the resurrection. You are the second coming. So let go of the fear and the belief that you're not worthy. You are so much more than you understand, believe, or know. More than you ever dreamed of being. You are so great. You are so great, so powerful. If only you can understand that. If only you can open yourself to the truth of that. Relax. Let go. Let God. Know that infinite intelligence is always with you. It is always there. It never leaves you, because infinite intelligence is you. It is you. It is you. You have been chosen. But you have not been chosen by some unseen force that was somewhere off millions of miles away. No, you have been chosen by you. You chose yourself. You chose to come here and to be the great being that you are. You chose to come here and change the world. Yes, you chose to come here and change the world. You are a chosen one. Get used to it. Let's close with prayer. Thank you, Infinite Intelligence. Thank you for showing us who we really are. Thank you for bringing all of us together in this life so that we may become spiritual warriors and joining the work we have come here to do. Thank you, Infinite Intelligence, for bringing us into this space of awareness and a deeper understanding of ourselves and our relationship to life and infinite intelligence. Thank you for showing us who we really are. We open our minds and hearts to the truth of our being. We are the children of God. We are individualized expressions of infinite intelligence, and because we are part of the greater whole, we are beginning to understand our value to the continuity of life on this planet. As we become channels of your power, infinite intelligence, we can feel your presence within ourselves and within our lives more and more. We know that as we feel your presence within our lives every day, we will rise because we are no longer cut off from you by being immersed in the darkness of fear, anger, and the pain of unforgiveness. So we are now restoring our connection through the grace of forgiveness, knowing that as we learn to forgive ourselves for the pain we have caused to ourselves, and as we learn to forgive those who have inflicted pain upon us, our connections will grow stronger, and our lives will grow happier and healthier and more prosperous. And for this, we are truly grateful. As above, so below. As within, so without. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you again next week. I really appreciate your being here. Remember, I am Reverend Andrew Bozeman, and this has been On the Wings of Your Mind. If this message has meaning and value for you, please click on the thumbs up button below. If you haven't already done so, please choose to subscribe. You can do so by clicking on the logo at the lower right-hand corner of this video. Remember, I would love to hear your thoughts, comments, and questions. Please use the chat box on the right side of the screen, or you can use the comments section below this video. The objective of this ministry is to empower you and your life. If our teaching is of value to you, then we invite your financial support. You can support this ministry by using the Cash App at $Andre Amron, or by going to our website at bozemandevelopment.com and clicking on the Please Donate link. Thank you for your support.